So when did the YT thing happen as well? So you said you rode the first hardline on a Kona.
Yep. Yeah, and then I think it was all off the back of that hardline, actually.
You think?
In a weird way, yeah. Yeah,
Where was your career at that first hardline thing? Where would you say your career's at?
From a mountain biking perspective, outside of that?
Yeah, mountain biking perspective. At that, sorry, again, I'm double barreling you. But at that point, had you made this decision like it's just going to be for fun, or were you still chasing that?
Yeah, it was still for fun at that stage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, because I'd been living in France for a couple of years, and still riding a lot.
Yeah.
Like I was living in Paris, but then spending most weekends in the Alps.
Nice.
Yeah, just like getting the train basically and just living in
sick.
the Alps. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just riding loads, but not really competing. And I think a lot of people thought I just went off the radar a bit, which I probably did to a lot of people. And then, because COVID happened, I started doing way more social media, more events, then going to hardline. Then I was a bit just like, actually, can start doing this properly again. And then, go in touch with YT, and then YT was stoked of everything. So, that's how that came about. So.
Nice. A kind of organic way of,
basically. Yeah, well, actually, no, it was even more weird than that. It was, again, because we just rode around this way loads, and so YT have the mill in Surrey, like just around the corner. And I rode with this guy for like the whole summer, and like, but obviously like knew him really well, and well, I thought I knew him really well. And like, you just never really ask what people do you in the mountain biking industry?
That's great.
You like, I think don't care. You're just all about biking, aren't you?
Yeah. A lot of people in the city, they judge you on like what you do, don't they?
Yeah, I love that.
So like the first question is like, what do you do? And then they judge you. Whereas mountain biking, you never seem to do that, do you?
That's amazing.
You don't even get introduced. You're just like, you're right, mate. And then all of a sudden you actually become mates.
Yeah.
And then you just like, you like him because you have a good time.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I just rode with him all the time and all sorts. And he kept mentioning about YT. And I was just like, I just likes YT.
Yeah, he really likes it.
Anyway, it turns out after all these months that he actually worked for YT in the mill. And so he actually then was like, I really want to get you. That's what he kept on saying. He was like, I want to get you on YT. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to be on YT too, but cool.
Just never even questioned it.
Yeah, just never questioned it. Yeah,
that's so good.
And then he was like, no, but I'm actually going to make it happen. Yeah, and then through him, he then like introduced me to the right people and had various conversations.
You just thought he had so much branded clothing. You were just like, this guy loves this bike company.
I'm going to get you a trade deal, and you're like, cool.
Yeah, so
that's nice.
Yeah,
and they're like on the program too, right? You got like a custom bike for Hardline. They're like,
you're on
the
full YT mob.
Yeah,
and it's been mega. Yeah, the guys at YT are super cool. Like I think they're on board with the whole one Hardline thing, but also just do what you like, enjoy riding your bike, and we're stoked for you. So
has it not changed that whole like mentality at all? Now that you've got a nice pro deal, does it change it at all? The job?
Not really.
No.
I don't think. With those guys, they're pretty chill.
Good.
Did freak me out a little bit with the custom bike. I know it sounds really odd saying that because I'm so unbelievably grateful. Like since I was a little kid, you dream of having a custom bike.
Hell yeah.
But I think it got to my head a bit that
Did
second year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, can we talk about that second year at Hardline? Obviously,
yeah.
That 22.
22, yeah. Yeah.
So the bigger features, I know we're going back again, but like obviously the race run didn't go to plan.
No, not at all.
No.
Didn't have too much fun.
A big one, isn't it?
We
watched it back.
Yeah, we were watching it just before.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there was a build up to it really because they surprised me completely and utterly surprised me with that bike. I had no idea they were doing it.
Amazing.
So I'd been in the Alps a week before, or 2 weeks before, just riding with mates, setting the bike up for like the bigger features, Chatel just hitting all the big jumps. Got the bike set up pretty good. But all year I kind of wanted to go to a coil. I was on an air shock all year. And I was like, I really want to try a coil. I think it'd be better.
Yeah.
And then I dropped the bike off to the guys at the mill because they were like, we'll fix it up, ready for Hardline. And that weekend before, I was going to go up to Dubby just to get used to the tracks. It's basically on the same hill.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll go up early. And I was like, can I swing by and get the bike? And they were like, it's not ready yet. So I was like, okay, this is a bit weird. So I went up there anyway, but I couldn't ride, so I didn't have the bike. And then I was like, it's nearly practice. I was like, can we get the bikes out and get ready and stuff? And so I went over to the van and they just basically pulled out this like brand new custom bike. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Sick.
But it was slightly tricky because it now had the coil shock on it.
Oh, right. You're not really.
So I had like coil shock and I had like different set of forks on it and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if this is like... So already in my head, I was a bit like the first thing I did on it was the bottom 3 jumps. So it's like a 60-foot step down to a like 70, 80-foot jump.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just hope the settings are right. So I was like, it was like quite a like nervy start. Like unbelievably cool. Like, don't get me wrong, but it was like a nervy start. And then all through practice, I actually felt good, like quietly confident. And then everyone started showing up because the year before with COVID, there was no one there. And then this time around...
Oh, you mean like fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, spectators.
So all of a sudden there's like thousands of people. And I think that morning or like overnight it had rained. And those big jumps, I was having so much fun, like trying to do like big whips and stuff on them, like having a good time. And then it rained and there was a bit of a headwind. And I remember, I think it was like second practice run. I came up a bit short on the first. Like not short onto the back of it because you just end yourself, but on the top. And it was enough to just give me such a head bang. I like destroyed my headset, like huge bang. And that was my last run before I went up. And it just kind of messed with my head a bit because I was like, oh, can I get the speed? Because the takeoff was slightly soft from the rain. Yeah. There was a bit of headwind and I was like, oh, all of a sudden I've gone from being so confident to like not so confident. And I couldn't find space to like calm down. Right. Because there were so many people.
So much going on.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And then so I went up. I think I was just like too...
How would you normally find space? I'm interested. Like, what would you do? What's the technique that you'd have? Just some time on yourself.
Smile and have fun. Like obviously there's a lot more to it, but
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type The Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!